Neck-throughs, guitars, they're like a guy that you won't have a beer with you.
I want to hear what's pushing the notes.
Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, and let's not forget Burger King.
I don't want to blow my knuckle out.
Stainless steel is the work of the devil.
These go to 11.
From the East Amplification Tone Labs in Baltimore, Maryland, it's the Amps and Axes Show. With your hosts, Jeff the Godfather of Low Wattage Amps Bober and Mick Marcelino.
Well, good day to you, Mr. Bober.
Good day to you, Mr. Marcelino. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
We are on location.
We are on location, and the infernos from hell have subsided a little bit. It's not 100 degrees anymore.
This room doesn't seem to have any ventilation.
That's okay. We'll live.
Okay.
We'll live.
We'll survive. The other side is cool.
Just picture we're in the tropics doing this,
and we have a guest.
We do. Well, we have a guest every week, but
yes, we do.
This one's actually live and in person.
Yeah. And before we get to
right,
we're going to keep the suspense.
Yeah. Okay.
We got to thank our good buddy up north,
Mr. Jason Saditas.
And he gives us
Quick Lick.
That's right.
Yep.
And of course, you want to go to ampsandaccesscast.com to get that.
Yeah, of course.
Because
that's where it is.
Yeah, it's right underneath the episode. I'm a little out of it today.
He's moving. He's in the process of moving still.
Oh. Still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think he.
I thought he
preloaded a bunch of stuff, and
okay.
He's in moving box hell.
Huh, okay, well, that's good. And, of course, when you go out there, you want to check all the social media.
Yep, because we're on it all.
Yeah, and we're doing really well on that because I got a little trick. But anyway.
That's good.
Yeah, so definitely like all of our shit and go out to, the Facebook and all that. And then, of course, if you need to get a hold of us, you can go to our contacts page and you can contact us there.
That's right.
And then we have one little banner.
Mm-hmm.
And that's...
the Amazon.
Yeah. And
that's right.
You buy that, we get a little bit of beak wet and all that good stuff. So that's enough of that crap.
Okay, well, it's necessary crap. It's good crap. It's good crap. It's not stinky crap. It's good crap.
Yeah. So we're going to do our intro different because we have our guest here.
We do.
So we're really not going to talk about too much.
Okay.
Actually, we're not going to talk about anything. We're just going to get right into our guest. But we got to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you want to do it right now. I don't care.
I mean, we did have an unusual product sent to us.
It's kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy. And, I say unusual because no one would have thunk that anyone would have thought of this or thought that it was a needed thing. It was very unique. Let me put it that way. A very unique product.
Oh, yeah.
And...
sorry, I was away from the mic there.
That's okay. You can do that once in a while.
Yeah, I'm doing this.
Just don't pass completely out. You'll be fine. But it's... what is it called? The body double?
It's called the body double. And what it does, it's pretty unique. It's this piece of plastic that actually goes around the back of your Les Paul.
Back inside. It's a molded resin kind of body form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what it does...
this one, I don't know if they make different models. This one was made specifically for Les Paul.
It's all he sent us. And I think that's the only thing. Their website actually has it. I'm trying to find that website. I should have been a little bit more prepared. But
that's
anyway.
Because I just sprung this on you.
I know you did. Yeah. And let's see here. Oh, it's, yeah. So what it does is it puts an extra inch.
It changes the size of your Les Paul.
Yeah, here it
is. It makes it
it's
bigger.
Made by Offstage Products.
Wow. Does it sound bigger too?
It's kind of weird because the plastic is actually hollow that goes around it.
Yeah, and it really has nothing to do with sound. It has everything to do with seated position of the guitar when you're playing.
Ergonomic.
It's totally ergonomic. Very good. Very good. It changes the position to more like that of. I mean, I thought it was like I picked up my 335-ish thing, and I thought it was close to that because it brings it. It brings it up and over, And it actually does change the way the guitar sits in your lap. It changes the way your left hand goes on the neck. It changes the way your right hand is attacks the strings.
Mm-hmm.
And we both saw this and went, okay, why would you need this? I put it on, sat down with it. You looked at me and said your arms are different.
Yeah, I mean basically it takes you from what he said. It takes you to like from a Les Paul to a 335.
Mm-hmm.
So it moves it up, doesn't move it backwards, but your forearm comes up and it rests in a different position.
So it's not cosmetic, it's not tonal, it's just purely ergonomic. It's
exactly.
weight, and that's interesting.
Yeah, so if we talked about if you're a studio guy, if you're doing a lot of practicing, that you're sitting down, it puts it in that right position for you. You don't fatigue as much because like Les Pauls, they want to sit down and back. Mm-hmm. And it kind of throws you off a little bit.
If you're used to it, you're used to it.
Yeah.
And the thing is that...
But this wasn't like, oh my God, I can't play with it. It was actually kind of comfortable.
It was it was very comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think, it's not a live thing at all, because a live thing you're strapped on, and I don't even think you can attach straps to this because it goes...
mm-hmm.
outside of the strap locks.
Yes, they actually have a clip inside there that attaches.
So it's not permanent, though.
No. And you can pull it right off. It has a strap that goes around the back, and it has two clips. One goes on the top post, and one goes on the bottom post. And you just pull those off, and then the thing comes right off.
My first thought is that's your stash, man.
There you go.
But they're $95, includes free shipping.
Wow,
cool.
And it's it doesn't mar your guitar at all.
No, and like I said, you didn't know that you needed it, and some people might not if they're just standing and playing. It does nothing at all. But I'm thinking studio musician,
guys,
guitar instructors, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's less fatiguing.
Yeah,
on you because you don't have to hold the guitar the normal.
If you're sitting, it's solely for sitting.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other piece though, when it's acoustic, because of the hollow strip that goes around the outside, that plastic actually resonated louder when the guitar was in it. Than
just acoustically.
Just acoustically.
I don't think it's going to change anything electrically.
No,
but just acoustically.
No. But it added a little bit. So if you're practicing on your couch or whatever, you can hear it a little bit better.
Yeah. So it was kind of unique.
Yeah. So
very unique, actually.
Check those out. Offstage Products LLC, but it's offstageproducts.com.
Right, and it's called a body double.
Yeah, and then they have one other thing that they sent us, and it's called the Slip Stop.
Yeah, you thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, this is a cool little piece. It's basically a little mylar piece of rubber, and it feels sticky, but it's
tacky.
Yeah, but it's technically not. What it does is it uses they have little suction cups, and they're microscopic.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives like a sticky texture to it. And what it does is it's using some kind of, I don't even know what the hell you call it. It's using some kind of...
alien anti-friction.
Yeah.
Right.
Some kind of geometry or something that the thing doesn't slip. It feels like it's stick.
It bonds to like a glossy surface.
Yep.
But not permanently.
Yeah. So you put it on your guitar. You have a Flying V or a Jackson or something. You stick it on that bottom. It won't leave, and you can play normal. Wow. You have a Strat. You can put it on there because, sometimes Strats will slip down. Oh, yeah. It's just one of those things that you can use all the time. If it gets full of lint or dirt or whatever, you just go in, you put it under your sink, you let it run, you kind of shake it off and just kind of pat it. You don't really wipe it, and it's automatically sticky again.
Yeah, it's
those are
again for seated players.
Yeah, and those are like $6. Same website, and it's just like you buy like 5 of them. What does it matter, right? And you got them.
Put them all over your guitar,
Yeah,
make a statement.
And you don't have to.
Poster Johnny Winter playing an old V, and he had this like a poster you'd buy in like the head shop of the day, and it had stock. It had some kind of rubber grip on it.
Yes, they used to do that on some of the Flying Vs. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, but the Jacksons and all, they don't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
So, instead of playing like a classical player, you can kind of
stick
sit
the
normal.
V in the leg here.
Yeah. So,
cool.
Definitely check them out. And, we have one.
There we go. We have one. We should have brought it because our guest is a Les Paul player. Should have brought it with me. Didn't even know.
I'm looking at a junior and I'm looking at a custom. Right? Is that a custom?
There's a actually the white guitar is
it's a
studio.
standard.
He does have
studio.
he does have a custom, but he's got like he's got 3 specials, a junior. Oh man, God, he's got about 10 Les Pauls for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, no surprise. We are in studio with a guest.
Yes.
And I really didn't even think that the whole Les Paul thing was going to tie in, and we should have just brought it and let him try it. But anyway, our guest of the week, a metal player from the way that I guess you would want the music described. I mean, probably, people probably try to pigeonhole it into, subcategories or whatever.
Yeah.
But, we'll just call it metal, and, done in some nice dropped, B or A flat or whatever it is. And we'll get into the whole thing and what it takes to do that. But, we're here with our guest. I'm not even going to say we're going to take a break and come back because we're not. We're not.
No.
So we're here with our guest live this week, and we'd like to introduce all our fans to Wino. How you doing, Wino?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man.
Glad to hear it.
Doing great.
I was watching some videos.
Okay.
And very cool. You use a lot of fuzz, I take it? Yeah, so it gets that rounded bottom end.
I use the fuzz. I use just the pickups in the guitar and the amp for my basic tone. I just add the fuzzes for flavoring.
Okay.
But I like to get the sound I'm going to get from my pickups and the amp, if possible.
Yeah, it sounds
Cool.
good. And you're a 3-piece, right?
3-piece. Yeah, I've always been a 3-piece. I've done some other stuff with 2 guitars, which kind of like, in a way, makes me kind of yearn for it a little bit. I think that it takes like a little bit of age and a little bit of not as much ego tripping as when you're younger to be in a 2-guitar band, because then you can be real in tune and nobody's trying to there ain't any volume wars going on,
That is true.
Yeah, so I had a couple. I played in a 3-piece my entire career, and then within the last, I'd say 10 years, I did a couple of 2-guitar bands. That was pretty cool, man. I dig it, really.
And you did a solo thing, acoustic.
Yeah, I did a solo electric record and I did a solo acoustic record that I was real surprised it did real good. A local guy recorded that, Ray Tilkins. I don't know if you know Ray.
No, I don't know.
Ray Tilkins, he's like an older guy. Used to playing with Root Boy here and there. Played in this band, Race the Rat. He was this guy. He played guitar in this band called Flight, which was the ultimate cover band. Like, okay, I was born in '60, so I'm 55. But when I was a teenager, I used to see this cover band play these huge parties. And they were like, he had the 59 Les Paul, he had the double neck, and they would come out and play Zeppelin. And then the bass player looked just like Chris Wright. But I mean, this dude could really play his ass off. And that's a whole story. That's like, ties into how I bought my first Junior. That ties into how Paul Reed Smith, before he was a luthier, he was like just a dealer. It's kind of a funny story. I'm sure I remind Ray of it quite often because it's a little bit down and dirty.
Well, that almost takes us into the Wayback Machine, like I do. So where were you born and raised, man? And how did you get into music? Give us a little history.
I was born in San Bernardino, California. It's I think I like the desert. Didn't really spend much time there. My dad was first he was in the Air Force for a minute. And then he got out of the Air Force real quick and was in IBM. He was in like the echelon of IBM when this shit was first starting up, So we moved around a little bit, and I remember we ended up in Maryland when I was 9. Okay, this is where we stopped and put down roots. Rockville, Potomac, Bethesda, kind of like my stomping grounds. Back in those days, where we lived was pretty much on the end of a field, a cornfield, because, I'm 55. I was born in 1960. They got it wrong in Wikipedia.
No, nothing's wrong in Wikipedia.
Start getting like all the, anyway, so I always felt like that I was hardwired to play the guitar. Like there's something about like rock music, and especially like kind of like real melancholy music really always grabbed me. And, I must admit that it was kind of a slow learn. Like I went down to Music and Arts, and I bought an area gut string, a nylon string, my very first guitar. And I started, taking lessons, every other day. I had to take a half an hour lesson with some cat, and man, I just wasn't feeling it. It wasn't clicking. And then, I was right on the edge of giving it up when they hired this new teacher guy who seemed to be a little bit more hip, and he could play that cool like ragtime stuff on guitar, but he was also into Roy Buchanan, and I was, even though I was young, I was into Sabbath, I was into Iommi, I was into Johnny Winter, I was into Roy Buchanan, and I was especially into like John McLaughlin, and I was into Frank Zappa, and So as he was cool enough. He was like, okay, we're going to play 15 minutes on the book, and then we're going to jam for 15 minutes. Okay. So he's the guy who first said, play less, say more, but your pull-offs, hammer-ons and pull-offs. And so I had a cool instructor there for a minute. I only took lessons for like a little while, but at that time I bought a Silvertone electric, and eventually I bought my first real guitar, which was a Gibson SG. And after that, is the love of my life. I mean, it would always bring me the most comfort through any type of situation with playing my guitar. And I remember that, so like slowly but surely, got into playing in bands and stuff.
I love that phrase. Play less, say more.
Yeah. Ray Tilkins. That's Ray Tilkins. Actually, when I think about that now,
awesome.
That's what Ray told me. Yeah.
Wow. And Buchanan was from down that area.
Oh yeah,
Buchanan was from Maryland too. Yeah.
And so you would have had what was it called? What was the name of that music store down there? Because you had Chuck Levin's.
Venomans.
But
the original Venomans was downtown. It was pretty crazy. So like the first Venomans was downtown, and then they were in Rockville.
Yeah.
And in 1976, I bought my first brand new Les Paul Custom there for like $650.
Wow.
$650.
Yeah.
For a Les Paul Custom.
For a custom.
Brand new.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was like $7 with change. So.
Yeah.
They're
$4,000.
You still have it?
I do not have that guitar. That guitar got stolen from me on the airlines, unfortunately.
Oh. Yeah, that's great.
Was anyone else in your family musical?
Nobody else in my family is really musical at all. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Nobody in my family is really musical at all, except I have children now, and my oldest son, who's 14, is a guitar player also, and my daughter, who's 10, she sings. So my middle son's like, on his way to the Olympics. He's like #1 for like platform diving in the USA, and he's 12. So it's like he's got his other thing going, man.
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, I couldn't dive off anything.
They won't. He's too. I mean, he's not big enough to go up the big platform, the highest one that they have.
Like 36
but he's got
feet
the
or something.
middle one.
Yeah, that's.
And the last time he blows me away. It just blows me away. They all blow me away. They're blowing me away, man. My oldest son, who's the 14-year-old who plays guitar, the first time I ever showed him guitar, I was showing him whole tone chords where you could do the stretch, because his hands are as big as mine, and already he's taller than me already.
At 14?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's
cool.
Been the Russian genes from his mom's side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So first guitar was a custom.
No, it was a Gibson SG Deluxe.
Oh, SG.
Oh.
It was the weird SG. The weird SG. It had the electronics actually on the face of it. With a half moon shaped thing. It had the standard Les Paul pickguard and it had the Bixby. I got to tell you right now, I hate fucking Bixby's, man. Oh my god! When I figured out I could pop that spring out and let the thing just rest there, and be fixed, man, that's right around the same time I figured out I could take the covers off my pickups. So I got my soldering iron and a butter knife, took the spring out of the Bixby, got that set up, took the covers off the pickups, and then I felt like I'd really made some progress into the realm of rock.
There's no turning back after that, right?
That's right.
Gibson always experimented with the SG on tremolos.
Uh-huh.
They had that one where you push the arm down.
Oh, with the little finger on the Vibrolux?
Yeah, the Vibrolas or something.
The worst thing ever made.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna make Bixby.
I mean, just restringing those alone is enough to make you want to hate them. Personally, I mean, no offense to
it has
Bixby
the roller
lovers.
thing that you got to put the ball on the end.
Oh yeah,
right.
But, I don't know. I guess that if you were in a rockabilly band or something like that, and would just tap it at the end of the song, yeah, maybe you would stay in tune. But I swear, man, it's like
you get guys like Setzer and all the Gretsch players and all that.
Yeah,
they're not. They're not doing the Hendrix on that thing,
Right.
And that I think
they probably have it set up. Now that I'm older, I realize you got to have the nut, you got to have the nut sauce, all that shit,
and you got to have locking tuners, and
if you don't have locking headstock, you know what I'm after. I've never ever had a whammy guitar ever. Never played a whammy guitar, but I know that Les Paul makes the traditional Pro 2 or something like that, which is basically a pretty nice dished Les Paul with a Floyd stock. It's like their custom shop thing. You see them around here.
Yeah, and they have the All Access too, which has no heel on it. And it's basically the Alex Lifeson model.
See, they had to do that to compensate for the tremolo, right?
Well, they kind of went to this next level, right? So they put the Floyd in there, and then what they did was they just smoothed over the heel, so you don't have a heel in the guitar.
Right, you have better access.
Yeah, you get
top.
better access.
It's also,
it has something to do with the the throw too, doesn't it? Like the pitch of the headstock.
No, not so much because they have
down here.
It just takes some of the bulk out of it.
Yeah.
It was an Alex Lifeson thing.
Like playing a shallow or something. Right?
Yeah.
And it's thinner too. It's not as thick as a Les Paul. It's actually thinner.
That's what I like. I like super thin, ultra thin necks, and not that deep. That's what I call a slutty. I mean the slutty neck. That's what I call it.
The body is thinner.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's not Les Paul thickness. The body is probably about a half an inch maybe or something.
Yeah, I forget what it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm having a love affair right now. I got to tell you with. Have you ever heard of this company, guitar company? They're called Electrical Guitar Company. They're all aluminum. Okay, I've got an all aluminum electrical Les Paul right in there that has got the absolute sluttiest neck you're ever gonna feel. I call it Heavy Mama because it's bigger than Les Paul. It's heavier than Les Paul, and it sounds fantastic. And it's all aluminum. It's a pancake with in the back being powder coated, but it is 2 pieces of aluminum, and it's a neck through all the way. For some reason, it must be the way they lay them. The headstock pretty much looks exactly like a Travis Bean. It has that same look. Man, this guitar is like. This is my go-to guitar. It's like picking up a bomb. And, it's kind of a little bit, reminds me so much of a chick, It's like got a big fat bottom and never quite warms up, you know what
I mean? And who makes it?
That's pretty cool.
Electrical Guitar Company, EGC. It's a company out of Florida. And they're made popular with... Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get it whatever.
Yeah, we'll take some photos of it and have it up.
Man, I'll tell you what, I'm in love with that guitar. I swear, it's like it's heavy too.
Right now? Okay,
whatever. That's I got to see this thing.
There's another company, and you might be able to remember this. When we were at NAMM, they make like a Telecaster, and it's all you can see through it, and it's made out of like aluminum. And our one guest, Andy Alt, puts his Little Thunder in one of them, and I forget what the name of that company.
It could be the same company, Electrical Guitar Company.
No,
because they do a Lucite trip too.
It had a guy's
Trey.
Oh God, I can't remember.
I don't remember.
But they had a display. They're not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like $5,000 or something.
You weren't getting ready to say Trainwreck, were you?
No. It's like, you know what? I'll do the search.
You could do the search.
I can do the search.
That's pretty funny. But okay, we're back to the original guitar around that era. Amps. What kind of rigs were you playing back then? What did you start with?
Well, my very first amp I started out with was an acoustic. The guitar head, and it had the 610 cabinet, and it had it was a 100-watt head. I can't remember the exact model number. It was the acoustic. It was solid state.
Okay.
I mean, painfully clean. So I had a Univox Super Fuzz.
Oh, nice.
And I had a Univox Super Fuzz, and I always really liked, for wah-wah pedals, I really liked the Maestro boomerangs back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't understand the backwards volume pedal thing, and nowadays if I find a boomerang, which I actively seek because it just sounds so good, man, I will. If I find the boomerang too, I'll have somebody take the volume pedal feature out of it, make a true bypass. But those all sound great. So I had a Maestro boomerang and a Univox Super Fuzz, and and I still wasn't there with the whole volume thing. Like I know that. Our drummer would get so pissed off because he was a virtuoso drummer, and he could play like Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And we're like playing these covers, and he would actually reach over and turn my volume down during the parts was supposed to be down, and then turn it back up. The reality was, it took me a long time. It took me a long time with no older brothers or anybody for any reference to learn how to set up an inline tuner and to now I use a volume pedal and everything, and and I understand what it is like to not tune obnoxiously on stage and that kind of stuff. But I mean, I had a Con strobe tuner for the longest time that had only one input.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how the fuck do you use it? It took me years to realize I needed an AB box. It's like, you know what I mean?
right. So you got to unplug the amp, plug into the tuner, tune up, unplug the tuner, plug it to the amp.
Oh, right. I used to have that thing where I had a TU-12, and I used to strap it to the top of that boogie rack that I had.
Oh yeah.
And I would just, because I hated them in line.
Yeah.
So I would pull it out and
plug it in
between songs.
Right. Well, they also generated line noise.
Oh my God.
Hey, check it out. There's nothing wrong with that. Will from Carmen to Burn did that the entire last tour we did with him. People still do that. Chandler still does that too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this thing one time went microphonic because the microphone inside.
Yeah.
And it started to feedback through the microphone.
Wow.
And I said no more. It was at that point it was out, and I just used to plug into it in between songs. Now you can have a little tiny thing.
I actually had back in the 80s when I had one of those on my pedal board. I actually had to make a buffer for it, so it would have the signal that went into it.
Yeah.
only went to it and it didn't go anywhere else. You know, the whole rest of the chain.
So you could play tune while you're playing.
Yeah, and the whole rest of the chain was what it was supposed to be. And there's this buffer box. The signal that came out of the buffer went into the tuner so that it just didn't put any noise into the rest of the system. Yeah, it was ridiculess, man. I was like, what is that noise?
You're way ahead. I know that already.
When you have your name on amps, it's, you know. It's easy.
Well, you know, the coolest little amps, the coolest amp that I've ever got the best sound ever sound through was an amp from an old projector, a tube projector from the 50s, because it always had a 1/4 inch in, and I figured out it was probably because when the teacher is showing the class back in those days the film, and she wants to talk with it, so they had a microphone in, and this thing had this little amp with a couple of small little tubes, and I took the amp out of this projector amp, and it had the richest, creamiest distortion. I mean, that's the coolest sounding amp ever.
I cannot remember the player's name right now, but if it's on the he plays on one of the Crossroads. It's either the last one that was released or the one before that. He actually there's actually a couple guys out there now that play through those projector amps, and he's crazy. He started,
man, you find them, man.
He started playing, and I swear to God, it was. Where's the keyboard coming from? It was almost synth. You know, like Hammond or synth put together kind of thing. Yeah, all the harmonics on that thing were just insane, and he's just playing along, and it's like, oh my God, this thing sounds like nothing else that you've ever heard.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm coming up short on the aluminum guitar thing.
That's okay. We'll figure it out.
Sorry.
EGC from Florida.
Yeah, well, I found that one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I'm trying to find the Telecaster one that we saw.
He makes. He will custom make you any body size and any style neck you want, any body. He uses Lucite too, but what's cool about their flagship guitar for their business is cool. I like the way it looks too. But you know, this Les Paul was given to me by a dude who plays SGs for a production job I did. I was pretty amazed, really, but I got it in lieu of cash. But I mean, it's like a $3,000 guitar.
That's cool stuff, man.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Well, what it does is there was years that Kramer, they tried to make guitars with that aluminum T-neck, and guys were like, "Yeah, it's great," until you play in the winter,
right?
And the guitar Kramer
and Travis Bean, you know.
Yeah, they fight with the wood. You know, that's why this guitar being all aluminum. I mean, just something. You know, it never really ever gets warm. You know, like the keys. But man, you know, I got to tell you, you'll see it, man.
It rings, and you don't have to worry about.
It doesn't sound like a metal guitar. It sounds like a fucking really nice, fat, hot Les Paul. I mean, it just doesn't sound like a ring. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, but you get all that sustain because it doesn't. It doesn't.
It's got these pickups in it that I guess are his. I don't know. I don't really know much background on this guitar.
Yeah.
You know, these pickups they have no pole pieces at all. They're just like the straight chrome, sort of like Schecter made those in the old days, like for a little while. These just all chrome.
Yeah.
And man, that thing. I mean, I can't heap praises high enough on this guitar. Really, it's really amazing.
That's cool.
It's amazing.
That's very cool.
Yeah, we'll have to get some photos, put them up on the website.
Yeah, we'll have to get Frank to get us a little audio clip of the thing. And, you know,
yeah. Well, I use it quite a bit on the record, actually.
Cool.
That's awesome.
So when did you get together with some people and start playing out? How did that go? And I assume that was covers at first.
Yeah, it was about 1976. We were a little bit different because we liked a whole gamut of bands. We liked all the punk stuff, but we also liked Zappa, Mahavishnu. I mean, you know, on any given day, we'd be listening to the Dictators, Dead Boys, Stooges, and then maybe some Joy Division, then maybe like, you know, Visions of the Emperor Beyond, you know, some McLaughlin. I'm really into Holders, so we were into the whole gamut. So when we put our first band together, we already had a couple pretty heavy originals, and so we were combining them because for my first professional gig, I started dating this little girl. And she bartended down at Beneath It All, which is this little tiny little wine cellar club underneath the Crazy Horse, okay, on M Street, right?
Yeah.
Back in those days, you know, Crazy Horse is just pick up joint, this huge, you know, meat market. So down this little tiny cellar there was this little place called Beneath It All that was the manager at the time was an ex 1% motorcycle member, and I just remember like she said, "Go down there and talk to me," you know. So I had my resume and I went down there. When he was just me and him, he was folding up some chairs, like getting ready to or taking them out, getting ready to open up. And I pitched him on the band, and he said, "Well, you know, you got to play 3 sets a night. Got to play 3 sets a night, 3 45-minute sets." So I said, "Okay." And so that's how like we started playing professionally. I think I can't remember how old I was, but I was definitely well, I never really saw through any like educational trip because I don't really like authority that much, and authority don't like me. but the bottom line is that it was pretty early on that we were down there playing these sets. So 3 45-minute sets, we had to play a few covers. You know? So we were combining like pretty radical punk stuff like, a Dead Kennedy song, a Dead Boy song, with like Sweet Little 16. Because at the time we had 2 guitar players, and everybody sang. And this other guitar player, he's so cool, man. John Reese was his name. When I was growing up, and I was getting put through all the trials by my parents to make me try. They were trying to make me cut my hair and send me to like bad boy school. This motherfucker had like hair down to his ass like the entire time from high school all the way out. And he was just this cool fucking, played a Strat, and he was like really into the Hendrix thing, and he could sing his ass off. The only thing was, we got him in the band, and we started playing. The only thing was, man, he taught me everything I knew about jazz, everything I knew about hard bop. Wow. I learned a lot from him, but he could never come back in off his solos on time or be in tune. And so we found it was challenging, really, to do that. So eventually we wanted to slim down. We said, okay, now it's time. Now it's time to slim down. So we went to Venom Music and went to Harry. This guy, Harry, he married Ted Veneman's daughter. He was like the guitar guy at Veneman in Rockville. And we said, listen, man, we need a lead singer. I need a lead singer who's sort of like a combination between Morrison, Ozzy, Iggy, and he goes, I got just the guy. And he sent me down to Louis Rock City to see this guy. So I went down there and saw this band playing. It was a cover band, but the singer was kind of pretty impressive. I mean, his voice was kind of cool. His voice was not special, but he was a great showman. And I thought he had like great ideas. So then the punk version of The Obsessed was born. Okay, that's the first name. That was the band that I'm doing now. But back then, this was my first band, The Obsessed. So now we're back down to one guitar. We've got a lead singer. And then we started playing beneath it all, these clubs for real. Like we were really letting it all hang in. I mean, this kind of guy, like, he was a little short guy, pretty radical, and I guess he was pretty well endowed, and like, he would whip it out, and we would encourage it sometimes too. There were certain times when that shit needs to be encouraged. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he would take it like a little far. Like the time that he took a shit in a paper bag and left it on the bar. Oh, there you go. It's like wanted to see who picked it up. That kind of stuff. But yeah, the bottom line is he was like that was our approach into punk. But he was this type dude. He's dead now, unfortunately, and I want to say that. May he rest in peace, because he was a pretty troubled guy. But he, oh God, did I lose my train of thought? Really?
It's okay. We all go down that road.
Right.
I go down that road every day.
the whole punk thing and whipping it out.
Yeah, it was an energy thing. It was an energy thing. Right. We were really doing an energy thing. So Seth Hurwitz from IMP dug us, and he was he said he might be interested in managing us. But then in the end, he said, well, I don't really know what I could do. But anyways, he got us a couple of really cool gigs. We got the gig supporting the first remake of the Dead Boys when they came through at the 930 Club, the old 930 Club. Mm-hmm. We also got the gig supporting the Bad Brains at the old 930 Club right around the Roar tape release. And I must say, I remember walking into that fucking club when they were sound checking and being pinned to that pole. From the shit coming off the stage, being pinned. That pole is in the middle of the room, the old 930 Club. Yeah. And we walked in to do our sound check, and they were, to load in, and they were sound checking. I was just like literally pinned to the pole from the power and the intensity coming off the stage. It didn't last very long with them, in my eyes, as far as like the intensity that they had then. But man, I was really lucky to be able to see that and be able to be there. It was really fun.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had some perfect gigs, but nothing really happened for us in the way of like making any real moves. We did. Eventually, the lead singer, he became the kind of guy who like want to stop the set in the middle of the show and try to get my guitar away from me so he could play Green Onions and do his Johnny Thunders trip. Okay,
you got to be shitting me.
No. And after Green Onions and Johnny Thunders trip, then he would get paid. He was the guy who got paid, and he would get paid, and then he would split. And then we'd all meet up back at the house. We all lived in together. But what he would do is he would get paid. He would put gas in his car and get something to eat and drink. Then he'd come back with the rest of the dough. That was his game. The Green Onions in this game here. Yeah. So it wasn't very long before I was like, he came bouncing down the house one day. I mean, I had to do it. So now we're a trio. Because the bass player says our bass player was a little bit older than me, and he was my mentor when I grew up. He's the guy who taught me how to overdrive an amp by overdriving the preamp. He's the guy who taught me about low end. He's the guy who taught me about impedance. And he goes, Wino, you should sing, man. He goes, you can sing. I know you can do it. And I was like, how daunting is that, to play guitar and sing? Right. But you know what? I started doing it. And the next thing you know, that's what we did. And that's what I did. That's what I've done for the last however many years, 20, 30 years.
Well, that's why you could keep it a trio. You just decided to, I'm going to be the one that's going to get paid now. Well,
he gets his gas money.
He gets his gas money, right?
The
money thing wasn't even in the sights right now, because I never, believe it or not, I'm not into music for the chicks, and I'm not into music for the money. If I would have been into music for the money,
you would have quit day two.
Fuck yeah, And it gets frustrating sometimes, and there's been a lot of times where I felt like hanging up my guns. But the bottom line is, man, this it's what I love. So. That said, of course, being a little bit older, I understand that I understand what you need to get by and stuff, and I'd love to have a few more guitars,
Sure.
But the money with me it's never it's never really drove my heel exclusively, which I feel really extremely lucky to be.
Yeah, for
somehow,
sure.
somehow.
You just do it strictly for the love of it.
Almost like
absolutely.
we entered Frank Marino, and he was like, I don't care how much money I make.
Right.
And we were like,
I don't care about the money.
Really? And he goes, no. He goes, never have. He goes, it's never been anything, really.
Yeah.
He was like, I want to play music.
I think it frees you up. I think it frees you up in some ways, but in some ways also, the what I've noticed is the people that talk the loudest, man, the loudest people that you can never ever talk to, those are the people that are the most successful, whether the music company executives or whatever, But that's not my trip, man. I'm just not into that. I'm not really into the greed. I'm not really into arrogant, greedy people,
Well,
Good.
it's better way of life, actually.
Back to
Absolutely.
Marino, though,
Absolutely.
I will say that Marino actually was the first guitar player that I'd ever seen when I was younger. I saw him at the, it's not the Ontario Theater. Maybe it was the Ontario Theater. It wasn't Lisner. It was the other one. There's the Ontario, and then there's another one. Anyways, I just remember seeing him when I was pretty young and wanting to fucking give it up after seeing him play. It was right around the time of that, that cool live record, with Dragonfly or whatever.
Yeah.
That was our acid taking days. I mean, we used to drive around and listen to that record. Ted Nugent, Stranglehold, that live record that he did,
A Double Live Gonzo.
No, the first one. Stranglehold. Stranglehold.
Well, that wasn't a live thing then.
No, that was just Ted Nugent.
Right.
That was his first studio.
Okay. Stranglehold was live. That's what I'm thinking. It was like all studio, and then they had that one long version of Stranglehold. Yeah, okay. Motor City Madhouse and all that.
Yeah.
Anyways, that and Sabbath. Sabbath, Technical Ecstasy. I remember seeing Ted in that era warm up Sabbath on the Technical Ecstasy tour. So that was, I don't know what year that was, but I don't have my
79
back
78.
It might, somewhere around.
Got to
there.
be around there.
Yeah, because Ozzy was out of the band by like 80.
Right. So it might have even been 76, 77.
Could have been
in that range. Anyways, so there you go. That's I saw Sabbath. The reason I kind of am the way that I am as far as the music I like is I saw Sabbath when I was on my 12th birthday, on Paranoid tour. Wow. And it changed my life.
Yeah, that
I can't, seeing Sabbath
have a
at
lot
12 would have to change your life.
and I watched your videos and stuff, and I was like, you got a lot of those cool riffs, and that's a lot. Now that he says that, I was like, because I was wondering if Iommi is like an influence,
yeah.
And you definitely have a lot of that going on, and of course, Tony he's the riff god.
That's riff rock.
It's
some of the earliest.
He was a pioneer too. He was using, Martin Birch was making his guitars and his pickups.
Yep. Yeah.
Or John Birch. Was it John Birch? But Birch was making his pickups. Was making his pickups. And so he had that wall of Laney stuff that was so dark that he had to have that Rangemaster treble booster to cut through for his solos.
Yep.
But everything changed. When he started using Marshall and went to like more of a generic sound, like on Mob Rules. That's when, even though I really love Dio. I just don't really like the Dio Sabbath because it changed so radically from their initial tone,
Oh yeah.
He started using Marshall.
No, I mean when the first Sabbath album, I mean that was a very recognizable guitar voice.
Oh yeah.
And
he's got the HD stuff he played for us the other day, the new HD stuff of that first record.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, you can hear everybody like gulping. It's just unbelievable, man. But that record is the shit, really.
Yeah, he and it was all because of that accident. Because he had to take and tune down to be able to, and use those light strings, but he was able to take that thing and then use that vibrato in such a way. Yeah. You talk about reinventing yourself and then literally setting the world on their edge because they were like, what the hell is that? And they invented heavy metal.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And everybody goes, oh, it was Led Zeppelin. It's like, no. It was Black Sabbath that invented heavy metal. Led Zeppelin was a hard rock band, but Black Sabbath, they definitely,
there was
they
definitely
brought
a
the
difference.
infernal triad into play.
Yeah. A lot of,
Can you imagine getting your fingers? The way he described it to that guitar player was like they didn't get cut off; they got pulled off by a sheet metal break. It's like two right angles, you know. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's
wow.
And then for him and his dad to come up with that whole tip theory of how to do that, that was. You know,
because he played the same way. He always played left-handed.
Left-handed, yeah.
So he never he just modified his fingers. It's pretty amazing.
Is that crazy?
Yeah, that's a success story like no other, man. Really.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And this is it, by the way. You know,
Like the
there's-
Django, it's like the Django Reinhardt.
Right. Right. You do with what you have.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to do it, you figure out a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and you know, bands like Korn, just because they have a 7 string, still, it was Tony. It was fucking Tony that came up with that shit in the beginning.
Yeah, Tony. And I'm not into Korn at all, but you know, I gotta say though, 2 7 strings on stage, those 7 strings bring a little bit of ass to the.
They definitely do. Yeah, there's no denying
but
that.
You know, I think it was you. I don't know. I just never dug the tune. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. And you know, to do it,
you can like the sound and not dig the tunes.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
To do it in such a way that Tony did. I mean, his low E was an A.
Yeah.
And he had a plain D because he was using 2 G strings for the D and the G, and then they were banjo strings for the B and the E.
It was a plain D?
Yeah, because it was so light.
Yeah.
Or maybe it might have been a wound G, but very thin.
Yeah, he used H or something, right? I
Well,
still have that one old guitar player.
Back then they didn't have 8s.
Right.
So what he would do is get banjo strings, and then he would take like a 12 set and move them over. So he was using actually the D string, or the A string.
The D is an A.
I can't remember, but I read it, but it was crazy. And then every time, and a 24 3/4 inch scale, so you know they were hanging off the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
He would go in the studio, and the engineers would be like, "There's no way that we're going to get a heavy sound with this guitar," and he's like, "Trust me." And then they, you know, the miking techniques, and of course how loud he played, and
Laney,
and his touch.
Supergroups, man, too.
Yeah. Oh God, he put them on the map.
Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and now he has this old the TT 100s,
Yeah.
and I think he uses like 16 of them on stage.
They're pretty cool. I think it might be it definitely might be one of the best amps Laney's made. You know, in these days. I mean, it definitely. I've struggled with those AOR push pull trips. You know, but the supergroup, man, it was pretty amazing actually. But they're so woolly. They're so woolly. I tried to use one in the studio. I've got a plexi, like a 60s purple plexi. It's actually not it wasn't it's called a Music City. It was pre-Laney, but it's still a supergroup.
Mm-hmm.
And it was too woolly to use, man. I mean, it's loud. I've got a Trainwreck power soak. But man, I tell you what, it was just too much. Yeah.
Well, maybe it's so woolly because it's compensating for the light gauge strings. You know, there's got to be a lot more ass in the amp.
That's why you like to use them. Yeah,
yeah. There's a lot of ass in the amp, and you know, with a regular guitar, there's just too much. It just turns into.
Yeah.
And I heard the story
shit.
behind that was Marshall was supposed to get their amps out, and Laney was available.
Right.
And they sent them out, and it was from their hometown.
Yeah.
And was it Birmingham? Yeah. And so then it just became, so what they would do is, he was all R&D, right? So they would go out on the road, and every couple weeks they would get new heads, and they would take apart what he had and see what broke and then fix it. And basically it helped them develop the roadworthy head.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Those guys are still there. They're still there. The Laney dudes are still there in Birmingham. I know this bus driver out there who was trying to get me hooked up with him, you know. One amp show, it was just too crazy. It didn't happen, but they're still around.
Yeah, and I don't know if Laney's using them anymore or again, but they're Fane just released new kind of speakers too. Yeah,
yeah. I think I think they're using Selection, but yeah, Fane is because the thing about Laney, which is weird, they haven't left England, and the price is like literally like half of what a Marshall would cost.
Yeah,
is that crazy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not an amp for everybody. You know,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
not Marshall is more of a generic and accepted type of amp. You know, Laney is a little more specific to you know, almost genre specific.
It is. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
but,
they did the Lionheart series, which was supposed to be more bluesy and stuff.
Yeah.
And it did okay, but it was definitely their heavier.
It ain't their bread and butter.
No,
you know?
Yeah, I like the clip, the Laney clip. It was like it had an overdrive circuit in it, which is kind of after the supergroups, which were non-master volume.
Mm-hmm. You go deaf.
You still have this creamy. I mean, you got to use a power soak, I think. That's why, and I can't stand the modern, modern power soaks that are all impedance. I mean, this Trainwreck power soak that I have, it's not even impedance
matched
required.
Yeah.
You know, But the only thing is, it only has one out. So so I had a Y jack because you got to power more. You got to use more than one cabinet. With these super groups because they'll power like 4 cabinets.
Jesus.
But yeah, the Z brake. I just realized that it's all about heat dispersal. It's one of those things. People are so worried about getting a compact little, little thing that's, takes up too much space. Can't take too much space. It's got to look real pretty. But the Z brake it's just a big box.
It's a massive thing. Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
And you knew
Ken Fisher.
Yeah, Ken Fisher.
Yeah, I knew Ken. And the Z brakes were the Dr. Z version of the air brake.
Right.
Ken did the original air brake.
Yep. And I've got the Z brake. It gives tribute to the train wreck people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cutting all my solos on a train wreck amp.
Oh, really?
Frank's got a non-master volume, the Comet. And when I first saw it, I was like, man, I was unbelievable. It was one thing that I zeroed in on, because I knew he had it, and I zeroed right in on it, and I was like, test it out. I was like, he goes, you got to use a pedal. And the thing about that, the thing about that head, it's so tight in all the ways that as soon as you put some little distortion in front of it, man, it's really the shit. I love it. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's. I haven't played I don't know if I played a Comet yet. Maybe I played his. I might have. I don't remember. But the, Ken did the Liverpool, the. Oh my God, he did 2 or 3.
There's one that gets some grind out of, right? There's one that has a preamp and everything too, like.
None of his original ones had master volumes.
Wow.
No. They had. Some had more of. Some had a presence. Some didn't. Why can't I think of the
I don't know
the names of. He did EL84 amps and he did EL34 amps.
Okay.
And I can't remember which one was which.
Let me see if I can find some information.
Oh, I'm sure it's out there for sure.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I'll see 7,000 pictures of train wrecks.
Yeah, somebody. Did I show you the other day? Somebody came out with a.
Yes, and you said, "Look at that! It's identical to the same lettering."
Yeah, the logo is almost identical.
Excuse me, the amp and everything.
Yeah, it's.
They even lay out of the electronics.
Right. Yeah, the controls, everything. But yeah, Ken was a good guy, man. Ken was one of the first boutique builders.
Yeah. Way back when, right?
Oh yeah. There wasn't a whole lot. It was him. Cesar Diaz was doing some stuff.
He died.
Was Diaz one of his proteges, or he was on his own?
No, he was on his own.
I remember when Diaz amps came out.
Yeah.
He died in 2006, December 23rd.
Ken?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, 10 years already, almost.
It's crazy, man.
Wow.
Because I remember there's that little guitar store that was there on right there, like on the corner of like Randolph and Randolph Road and Georgia Avenue, or something like that, or Connecticut, right there. They had Caesar worked there.
American Guitar Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Sprung's place.
Yeah.
Yeah. After Caesar moved and wasn't doing servicing for John anymore, I took over.
Oh, really?
Servicing there.
That might be where I've seen you because you look really familiar. I think we've crossed paths.
Could be.
Without being
Yeah.
introduced.
I go back a year or two.
A couple days.
A couple days.
All right, let's see here. We got the Liverpool.
Right.
The Rocket model.
Rocket.
That's what I think this is. This is the Rocket or the Comet.
Well, the Comet there's the company that does a licensed train wreck.
Okay, gotcha.
That's what that is.
Okay. So it just was those two.
Okay, I thought he did a third, but
the Express.
Express. There you go.
Yeah.
See, it's all up here somewhere.
Or it's on the internet.
Well, yeah. That's the easier retrieval method.
I know.
This up here takes a while.
I couldn't tell you.
That's right.
But I think the reason these amps are so worshipped is because, man, you can hear it. Like the tone controls are so. It's just so tight and everything. It's like the lows, the mids, the highs. So it's pretty much unbelievable, really. I'm just using it for soloing with the pedal, which is oh man, you know what it's like here, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like 4 huge moving box cubes like this filled with vintage pedals. I don't know if you know that or not, but name one. The only one he doesn't have is the Oberheim voltage controlled filter. That's the one that I asked if he had that he didn't. He's got everything else, man.
That's when you got to walk out.
But
we'll get it.
I mean, I guess I could let out a little secret, but we're getting a sound through the train wreck and a Dumble repair guy's trip. This Japanese guy who's made this.
We saw this pedal.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
That's been the go-to thing for me for solos, man. Frank put that on the board. We hooked up the train wreck, and it was just like, wow.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little solid state
the
pedal.
Dumbleoid?
Dumbleoid, yeah.
Dumbleoid?
Yeah.
So, you primarily the short scale. Is that what the 24 3/4?
Whatever the standard Gibson is.
Okay, so you don't go to the Strats. You don't do the Telecasters.
I like Strats and I like Tellies. I really like I like the older slim neck rosewood fingerboard Strats and Tellies. I've had a Telly that was sounded so good with the 5-position switch stock. It's amazing, but I like Guilds, man. I really like Guilds. I like the weird Guilds. I like I like the S100. I also like the S300, which is that weird battle axe kind of shape. I mean, those things had the sluttiest necks ever.
Yeah, man. One of my first guitar teacher, his name was Paul Connor. He had one of those.
One of the Guilds?
One of the battle axe ones.
Yeah,
I forget what
300.
300s.
Yeah.
And he bought it brand new from Music Land up in Hartford County.
Okay.
Right? And he had
Larry's place. It's Larry's place now.
Yeah. It was Joe Notos.
Joe Notos. It's Larry Notos.
Rest in peace, Joe.
Yes.
And he gave it to me, said, "Here, play this." And it was 24 frets. And like you said, it was literally like the strings were just laying on the neck. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You just breathed on it and it would play a chord. And it was amazing. And I was like, oh my God, guitars play like this? Because that's when Guild was a player,
right?
And they were making high quality instruments.
Right. They came stock with the DiMarzio Superstore.
Yeah. The
thing about those
open pole pickups, with no covers. I was like, what the hell is that? Yeah.
And those S300s were interesting because I got one recently and I tried to look it up. They made the all mahogany one. Then I had one that had like an ebony fretboard and was substantially heavier. And they made a maple one too, so it's pretty strange. I'm not really the biggest fan of like all maple guitars, but
they weigh it like somewhere around what a battleship would weigh. So when you hit a note, it'll ring for just the side of a month.
That's at times a big fallacy too, because a lot of times like the lightest Strats, like the Swamp Ash, they just ring forever.
Yeah.
They just totally sustain their. They might not. There might not be a whole lot of girthy bottom to the thing, but the sustain is just it's just beautiful.
Well, you'd hit the note on the Guild, and you would not hear anything acoustically because it was so heavy.
Right.
But the string was just vibrating to no end.
Now the 100 was the 100 like SG.
Yeah, I call it the Kim Thale model.
Yeah, the Kim Thale.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. The SG, but it's actually thicker than a Gibson SG. It's got more mahogany.
Yeah.
I've got one over in Europe.
And they had those cool pickups in them that they were pink underneath. It looked like a TV Jones almost, but it wasn't. It was I don't know.
But it had the reflective.
It had like a piece of clear Lexan or something, and then underneath of it was like a light. Because a buddy of mine had one. I was like, "What the hell are these things?"
Those might be. Are those the pickups that sort of resemble an old Diamond, maybe?
Maybe. It's you don't see those things.
I always thought they had like what appeared to be humbucker-ish.
It's a humbucker. Yeah. I mean, I gotta see. Now I gotta go to
him. Yeah. Obviously, I'm a gear nerd. So.
But well, I mean, gear nerd is great because.
Well,
you wind up with some of the coolest shit
over
the
nerd
years,
out of it. Let's just say gearhead.
There you go. But you just wind up with some of the coolest shit over the years.
Yeah, that's right. And you meet the coolest people, I think.
Yeah, well,
people that are like minded. I'm going to put a little section in this new record. I'll just all the gear. I had to ask Frank Hayes. Is it cool if I tell him what we're using in here? Because I'm playing a lot of his guitars. So. Mm-hmm. But he's cool with it because he's a gearhead he's a gearhead.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, you got it. Show it. Yeah. What do you use live typically?
What the amps I'm using live now are okay. I've always loved the Sun Model T. Okay, the original one, not the reissue. The original one had 6550s. Is a powerful head. And what I used to do is get the 70s Sun Model Ts. I'd immediately put in a modern preamp tube, change up 12X7s to make it more grindy, and then I would get the most expensive. The tubes I liked the best were the Svetjanas. So I would get a matched quad of Svetjanas, and once all that shit was all biased out with man, I swear those amps they've got some headroom, man. Really, they're like 150 watts.
Yeah,
bass players love them because you could overdrive them and get that great Pappalardi Jack Bruce sounds. Everyone I ever bought was from a bass player.
Really?
Yeah, I mean a lot of famous players use them too. But anyways, that was my head. So the head I'm using now is actually a Model T. It's sort of like a combination between a Model T and a JMP. And basically, it's made by a company that used to be called Emperor. Mm-hmm. You might know them. They did some really nice wood. That was kind of their trademark. Now they're called Tyrant because they had a schism. So I'm using Tyrant heads, which is basically a souped-up Model T with the 77s. So it's got the tubes have a higher plate voltage. EL 77s.
KT
77s. Yeah,
KT
that's what it is. So I call it the Punk Crusher, 77 Punk Crusher, and that's like hopefully is going to be my signature head. I got 2 of those, but what I've been using here to do most everything is Frank's 69 GMP, and then one of my tyrant heads.
Nice.
Cool.
Yep, I've got a Y jack and a couple of tight cabinets that he had, and then Solo's Trainwreck.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah. That is. Yeah.
So live, I just use these tyrant heads, and he makes really nice tailored cabinets that are his old trip is like woodwork. It's like really nice wood, and a bunch of people use his stuff. Santana likes his cabs. The Melvins, Buzz from Melvins, kind of pioneered them. So I've got them. I'll show them to you. They're pretty cool. They're nice, nicely made. He's a good guy by himself. There was a learning curve at first. I mean, he's a great guy. There's a learning curve at first. I remember he didn't have any 16-ohm cabinets, and I was just like 4 and 8. I was like, wait a minute, man. I said, my rig is like 2 16-ohm cabinets, usually with 75s in each one, running at 8 ohms, one head. I firmly believe if you've got a 150-watt head or whatever it is, it'll push 2 cabinets,
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, it'll push too.
Yeah, and sometimes it sounds good. Sometimes, lately I've been using low-watt speakers too. It really depends on what you want.
I mean, honestly, today it's such a luxury to be able to even run a pair of cabinets anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody's going, smaller amps, combo amps, things like that.
That's totally cool, and that's always a secret weapon. I saw Sleep like about a couple years ago in Europe, and Dave, their soundman, his secret weapon, he had a pig nose under an amp, under an amp case. He put pig nose while wired up and just put the case over so nobody could see it behind everything, and that was like seriously, that's how he was getting a lot of Pike's grind. He's a great soundman, though, but he's one of us. He's one of us, obviously.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
yeah. There's so much stuff behind what you think is actually being used.
Well, that's like that band that you opened up for. I saw the cabinets that were where the actual amps were inside. Not the amps, but the cabinets. They had a road case, and the cabinets were inside there.
Oh, yeah.
All the stuff on the stage, well, that was just for show.
Yeah.
They ran in-ears. It was dead quiet on stage, obviously.
What, in-ears and went direct or something like that and had all these fake cabinets?
Well, they had all the fake cabinets, and then behind it, they had a big road case, and there was all live cabinets inside there. But, you can't hear them.
Yeah.
So
the stage volume. You're talking about the B-Boys?
Yeah.
Boston.
I'm like looking at those amps, and I'm like, they have plexiglass fronts over the nut. I'm like, what if you got to adjust it? And
that was all the
Rocktron.
The Rocktron stuff.
Yeah.
An entire, both stage right, stage left, an entire walls of Rocktron.
He bought all of them.
He must have all that exists, and they're in racks with plexiglass in front of them.
And I'm like,
it's almost like they're on display. It's almost like they're on display.
What do you do if you got to tweak it?
Yeah, you don't touch anything.
Well, don't worry about it because
we're not used to it. It just looks great.
Yeah.
Well, for him, it looks great.
I'd be real surprised if it was like a Fractal or a Kemper.
Oh, who knows? Who knows? Yeah, they were doing sound check in that stage. There wasn't a whole lot going on in this. You could hear the cabinets in the road cases behind everything rumbling, and that's about all you heard.
Yeah,
but it was such a compressed sound. It was 2-dimensional. There was
no depth
out in front of house. It was still 2-dimensional. There was just no depth to it.
Oh shit! Huh?
Yeah,
I more and more that we get exposed to the modeling and direct lines and stuff like that. That's the answer. It has something to do with that diaphragm being smashed by air.
You got to move some air, man.
That really makes it come alive out front because that PA system is just flat,
right?
And they're not going to do too much to the EQ on that. They're going to try to keep it as flat as possible. But when you go direct, there's a whole nother ball of wax. Because it's like the bi-amping is actually working in a different way. It's not all here, in the mid.
It's a bit unnatural, I mean, you're moving air in here when you're recording, right? You're not recording direct or anything.
Yeah.
But what brought to mind when you brought that up was ported cabinets because this cat in I think he's in Oregon or Washington State. His company's called Ear Candy.
Ear Candy in Port City.
212, right?
Yeah.
I was standing up front, I was about 10 feet from my amp, probably, up at the mic, and I could feel the ports. I could feel the air was dusting my back, sort of like a bass drum does when you stand in front of it.
Yeah,
The bass drum. Those cabinets were moving. And I'll tell you what, those cabinets sound great. I mean, a lot of people don't like ports. I mean, they had a little discussion with Frank. I mean, but man, they're this big. They're so light you pick them up with one hand. And I'll tell you what, they can take it and they move it. It's unbelievable. I think that guy's
Port
genius.
City is another company that has that.
Yeah.
Really?
And,
Well, when you said Port City, I thought you were just talking about his cabs. But you know, there's something to be said for a well-made cabinet like that. I mean, really, I think it's genius to.
Oh yeah, well,
It does sound different.
Combination with some other stuff. You know, it's like
Yeah, that would probably be the best way to use it in conjunction with another standard type of cab.
Yeah, because you can get that weird wave that we talked about this, where it creates that one harmonic that's
it's
kind of like,
almost artificial,
almost
kind of
the ports.
with the ports, but used in combination with another cabinet like a sealed Marshall or that type of cabinet. Then you got kind of a balance.
I mean, me, I don't play a lot of heavy stuff, and I'm more of an open back than a closed back guy, because I just want this stuff to breathe a little bit more,
and not be overbearing on volume on stage.
Yeah, I like being hit in the forehead.
I do too, but I would really like to be. I like to be able to get my sound at low volumes. Like the goal is to be able to get your sound at as low as volume possible. And like I found that if I'd get the right preamp tubes in my head and have the right high output pickups and the right guitar, that's my goal, to be able to get the creamy distortion and like the sustain that I want, and then the fuzzes and all that just become like the icing on the cake. I mean, that's my goal. I mean, playing with the pedal on the whole time. I mean, okay, in my eyes, you have to have a volume pedal, or else you drive everybody crazy. Yourself too. But that's these days, man, with the down-tuned guitars, and like the pedal going full tilt boogie. I mean, that's created a whole movement.
Yeah, some of the amps are full tilt too.
Yeah.
You can get in some of that Randall stuff, the Angle stuff.
Randall is my favorite solid state company. Really, the old Randall sounds fantastic. I mean, I think this head sounds fantastic. I mean, that's really the only solid state head I like. But man, they've got sustain and grind for.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But, I mean,
wasn't that Dimebag?
Dimebag. He resurrected them from the dead.
Right, and then other bands like the dirty Southern, what do they call them? The dirty South bands like I Hate God. All these modern bands that use them too. Crowbar.
Yeah.
It's a good fat sound. They sound pretty fat.
Yeah.
That's the amp I would use. I would use that amp to drive an SVT cabinet for guitar. If you have a real grindy solid state, it sounds unbelievable. Maybe I'll get Frank to play the one song where I put an SVT cabinet back in the middle, in the middle with the guitars spread out pretty good. It's pretty heavy, man.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, one of my favorite sounds, and you really, I couldn't play it anywhere, but an SVT into a 412 Marshall.
Dude.
It's insane.
It's got a wild sound, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just so big. And I mean, if you can get it up to the point, the Marshall bottom's got to have something in it that can handle, that amp. And even though it's meant for 4 or 2 ohms, you drive it into 16, it distorts, before it hits 300 watts for sure. But man, it's just so big, Maybe somebody try that.
There you go.
Well, I'd like to check out some of what you're doing these days with your, because I'm into like I used to have like in my stack I used to have one of these Silvertone 65 watters with the head stashed away in the bottom of the cabinet.
Oh yeah.
The 212er. And
they had 212s and they had 610s.
Yeah, I had a 212er. Whenever I would roll that thing into the club, all the stagehands, of course, whoever was a gearhead in that building would just zero in on that head, And I had that's what I used the Z brake with that. I had a Velcro on top of the head.
Oh wow!
I'd like run it wide open with the Z brake. Obviously, I'd have to have something to monitor, but I'd mix it in with my Model T sound. It was just perfect, man. I love that. I took that down to Atomic and had to liquidate that a couple Christmases ago, and I was a little bit.
Wow.
And that's how it is, unfortunately. I mean, if I had every guitar that.
Yeah, running those things wide open is. Did you have there was a 2.6L6 and a 4.6L6 version of that? It was a 1485 and a 1486 or something.
I think that I had the 4 because it was louder than my Univox, which I have a Univox, 70s Univox that has the 2.6L6, I believe. I think it had 4, I think.
Probably, and they had 2 separate output transformers too.
Wow,
one for each pair. But I mean, running those amps wide open, the output transformers always finally give up the ghost on those things. So you're lucky that it didn't.
Running a power soak.
Yeah.
Too, man. So
just killing it.
It's just full out, man. It's
screaming
full out.
bloody murder, But that's what's so cool though about the Z brakes or the air brake. That you had a setting where you could dumb it down, but then you had a setting for like bedroom. It says bedroom on there, so you could take it all the way down. But I mean, those things are so valuable, I think, man, for these old amps.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you're gonna, if you want to play an old amp and get what it can give you, you got to throttle it back nowadays. You got to throttle it back. Yeah. Tuning. I wanted to discuss tuning. You don't do standard tuning, do you?
Well, believe it or not, we don't tune like radically low like most people do. What I do is I realized early on in my career that by tuning a half step down to E fat, by tuning a half step down to D sharp or whatever, that pulled me into my vocal range, so I could sing and play. So then that's where we start. Now I do some drop tunings just on my low string. Like from there, I'll do a drop B, which is actually an A sharp. But the lowest I go is G sharp, which is like A. Some people in these bands these days, they tune their whole guitar to like C sharp or lower, and use heavy gauge strings. That's a whole nother ballgame. That's a modern thing.
Yeah.
But I'm still fairly old school. I mean, we still sing.
And what are you using gauge wise?
I use a pretty radical set. I use a light top, heavy bottom, but it's pretty radical because I like to play a lot of solos. So I got to be able to bend. I can't use a wound third, so I use a 59, 46, 36. Then there's a pretty radical jump to the 17, 13, 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I started using, the way I do it is I buy a 7-string
10
set.
to 59.
Yeah, I buy a 7-string set because that's the only one that has 59.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I was using 56s, but once I started using 59s, it's like, wow. So.
Yeah, because even Zach Wild's set is like 12 to 60 or something. Yeah.
So
but he
close.
tunes that whole thing down to like A or something.
Or maybe a whole stuff to D or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's just
and you got to open on that Book of Shadows tour, right?
I played acoustic though.
Yeah.
That was interesting. we thought it was. My booking agent told me that it was going to be an acoustic tour because it was the Blackened or whatever. But it was an acoustic tour. Like I didn't even know that. Like we should have basically like he's got a few health issues, and I think that so they were doing the whole tour where they mainly sitting down. So they'd taken some old stuff and reworked it or whatever. He's a monster player. So is Dario too. The other guy.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Dario's an amazing guitar player in his own right.
Yeah. What does he weigh? Like 62 pounds?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And that was a really, really interesting tour. Zach and his people treated me really, really nice. Once they realized that I was considerate and wasn't gonna, I'd ask. But when I got there, I'd ask permission before I take the stage. They'd have it ready for me, and then they say, "You may take the stage." Just a few. You learn things on the road like that to make things go smoother. Those guys are all really great.
And you moved out of LA. You said that actually because I saw your garden.
Oh yeah, that was it. That was out here. That was out here in Maryland, actually.
Okay.
But then I did live in LA for a while. Yeah, like I was. I was in a couple other bands too. Like I was lead singer for a pretty popular in the underground doom band called Saint Vitus. And that's the band that really kind of took me around the world.
Yeah.
Then I got my other band, The Obsessed. I got that. I got that label that did Vitus to put out the first Obsessed record. Then we got signed to Columbia. But I was living in L.A. because I wanted to get it on, man. I wanted to keep playing. I wanted to make a move with my life. I was kind of spinning my wheels out here. So I did that, and I came home with my tail between my legs a couple times.
Yeah.
From L.A. And I remember that the last time I went, I had to kind of like tell my girlfriend she wasn't going with me because it was just beating her up too bad. I mean, not me physically, but the lifestyle was just too hard.
Yeah.
And we'd struggled quite a bit. So finally, we ended up getting the Obsessed did get a record deal finally with Columbia Records, but it was pretty short lived. We did one record, but L.A. is beautiful, man. L.A. is magical. But I have 3 kids out here in Maryland, and I'm separated from my wife. But it's a long and dark story. But we finally everything is cool. I had to go back to L.A. to put some geography between me and the fucking law out here because of her antics. But finally, I smoothed everything out, and I was a stay-at-home dad for 8 years too, like in the middle of my career out here. So it was pretty traumatic thing when the kids were kind of ripped my arms for a minute. But now everything is totally cool, and I just recently gave my my oldest son a studio, a small studio.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
He's got a loaded SG too, like man. Yeah. You know how it is.
Like father, like son.
There you go.
That's it. That's awesome, man.
Nothing more makes me feel better than to give him a guitar.
Is he into the same kind of stuff, or is he into?
He's into my stuff, but he's also his favorite guitar player is John 5.
Oh,
Oh,
So
wow.
these guys play
Christ.
Marilyn Manson, and, plays that telly. This is what he says to me. This is what my kid says to me. And I didn't. He says to me one day, he goes, "Well, Dad, he gets a pretty heavy sound for a Telecaster." I mean, from a 14-year-old kid, that blew me away. I mean,
Oh, yeah. That's
But
John 5.
But they're just so much more educated now than we used to be at 14.
John Five, I researched him because he was my son's favorite guitar player. So
Yeah.
I watched him on That Metal Show, and his trip is like he was this virtuoso kid who was plucked right from the bedroom, onto the bus. He's never known anything but limousines and stadium stuff. So
Wow.
that's cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, I think that he went from Marilyn Manson to Rob Zombie's band. I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And he's
He was in Skinner for a minute, believe it or not. He
he's
was
just-
in Skinner as one of
Really?
the backup
Yeah.
guys because he could chicken pick. They say.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
He's
got
insane.
He's got a country thing going on too.
Yeah. I mean, go
Yeah,
the metalist of metal to these crazy chicken
Chicken
picking
picking, yeah.
licks.
Yeah, he's
That's
got all
just
the
like
tricks.
insane.
Yeah, no,
you know?
he's a very
Yeah.
diverse
Oh,
player.
and the craziest part is those are humbuckers.
And it's
Most
not
of his guitars
Yeah.
have two humbuckers. They don't even have, he has some older, from what I understand, he has every single year Telecaster ever made.
What?
Yeah, he has one of
Wow.
every year. Yeah.
Wow, that's
incredible.
crazy, man. That wow.
Well, did you guys know Paul Mastrodome, that bass player cat? He was also an amp repair guy for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of a weird cat, bass blues guy. Mm-hmm. He had a fucking one day he goes, "Man, I'm going to show you something you can't do. Anybody have it?" He showed me a broadcaster that he had.
Wow.
Oh yeah. This guy. I mean, there's
yeah.
guitars like that, man. People live and die with those guitars.
He's another guy that's been around for a long time. He was around. When Danny was around.
Dan is in Atomic Music.
Yeah. And Gatton was another telly guy. Gatton.
Yeah, he's the one who told me that really there was, well, I shouldn't touch on that. It's, dark, a little too dark, but did Gatton's trip with his death and all.
Yeah.
Let's not touch the deck of it.
All right.
Yeah, the telly guys, Buchanan.
Buchanan,
you know.
man, Buchanan. I mean, to me, like, man, he was so inspiring. But upon reading his autobiography and looking at his life, he seemed to be this kind of cat who was so troubled that, these people that they're musicians, but it almost seems like that they never want to make it. It almost seems like they throw stumbling blocks on their own path. You know what I mean?
Well, I know a couple guys like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Virtuoso players that you would think go straight to the top, but for one reason or another, they don't want to make it, or they're afraid to take risks, or maybe they're just smarter than everybody else. I don't know.
I mean, Danny was another guy. He'd rather be home building cars in his garage.
Yeah.
He built hot rods for a while. Instead
yeah.
of playing, it's not going to play for. I'm just going to build hot rods. And
It's crazy,
he's
man.
so free.
I got cheap guitar disease. Like if I see a Tyco or something like that, I'll, with the old school roller bridge sound, if it stays in tune, I'll be like, yeah, but some people have like expensive guitars.
It's better to have cheap guitar disease.
Yeah.
For
Hey, give it
sure.
20 years, they'll be worth something.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
all the pieces of crap that we started with, like, you got a Tesco?
All the tides rise.
I bought a Tyco at the Guitar Center up here. We went in there looking around. And I saw this old 70s Tyco, and actually I couldn't buy it right away because the dude told me, "Man, this is Anne Arundel. There's a police hold on that, just like a pawn shop or whatever."
Oh, yeah. They got to hold stuff for 30 days before they can put it up for
I
sale.
can't get my hands on until the 8th, which was disappointing. But yeah, right up the street, I couldn't help it.
Yeah,
Man,
man.
$200.
Yep.
Oh. God, well, we could go vintage guitar talking forever, but
Oh,
we got to
my
wrap
God.
this thing
Yeah,
up
we
because
do.
you got to get back to making some noise.
Yep. The Obsessed is recording our I guess it will be, well, I don't know how many records will be in my career, but this is the new Obsessed, and we were lucky enough to secure a license deal with Relapse Records, who gave us some loot so we come in here and see Frank, who I'm absolutely convinced now that I have found the guy. I just think
Cool.
he's a premier engineer for live sound, and he's blowing my mind in the studio. This is going to be the best sounding record that I've ever done in my whole career, no doubt about it. The best drum sound right out of the gate. I mean, we've got you can tune the snare. You got a snare for every song. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of snares in this room.
So basically, I feel like super happy to do that here with Frank Marchand and Rob Queen, who's his assistant, who did our first demo. We sort of got hooked up because our bass player knew Rob. We brought Rob in to our drummer's house. We did 2 songs. Those 2 songs we sent up to the record company. We shopped them. And then in the meantime, Rob was like, "You got to come to Frank's. If you guys get the deal, you got to come to Frank's studio. You got to do this with Frank." And I'm convinced.
Nice.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
And that's all the connection with here. So yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, why
All
not?
right.
Thank you, man. It's
Yeah,
such
man.
a pleasure for you to take the time and just sit down and
Nothing I like
Hell
better,
yeah.
Shoot the
better
stuff
to
for
do
a
than
while.
to talk about.
Yeah,
well, playing you might like a little better,
And,
yeah, absolutely.
and you have a
Yeah,
website?
The Obsessed does have a website and a Facebook page.
Okay, so we'll put that on the show, and it will live in
perpetuity.
and
yeah,
it'll just be out there
the
forever.
the Obsessed official, and then of course there's all kinds of stuff you can see on YouTube too.
Yeah.
And the other bands and everything. So
You hear
Awesome.
That, hear
And
that
then,
crazy round bottom end, man. I love that.
Any idea of when this might be put out?
it'll be out in February.
Oh, in February.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
All
we-
right.
We're going to get it done. We're moving at a good pace, and we need it done by August to make February release. So,
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
relapse
Cool.
records, Yeah.
All right. Well, Wino, thank you very much, man.
Thank you guys.
Go
Yeah.
make some noise.
All right.
Go make some noise, man. And there you have the story.
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
You know, I didn't know much. I watched some videos
Mm-hmm.
and definitely got, he has a lot of those Iommi licks in his playing.
Yeah.
And the sound is kind of, I say it's rounded because it's not like a percussive bass, like, a lot of modern metal.
okay.
It's got like that fuzz, where it kind of blooms. You know what I
Bloom
mean?
is a good word. Yeah.
Yeah, like when he hits a note, it kind of just sounds like it's falling apart, and then it's
it's
still there though.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's warm and full. Not a punch in the face or a punch in the
No.
gut, but it just. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I did have a chance to listen to some of the
And-
stuff.
and a great
we might
guy.
get a chance to hear a little bit of it here. Too,
Yeah, well, there's
so.
there's the aluminum guitar. We're looking at it now. That thing is crazy.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get
we'll
a
get some
picture of
pictures,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, man. So
Yeah.
I mean, I really didn't know the history. Like he moved from the West Coast
Back
to
to
the
here.
East Coast here, very early.
Yeah.
and
And then-
was around here in the area that he grew up. There's the Baltimore music scene, and then there's like the DC, Northern Virginia scene,
And literally-
sometimes they cross, but they're
Literally, they can be just so separate.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
you're talking 50 miles.
Right. Yeah. 40, 50 miles.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's overlap.
Yeah.
But I mean, over the years that they have been two very distinct music scenes.
Absolutely.
And if you don't get a chance to cross over in them quite frequently, you miss a lot of people that are in one or in the other. And
Yeah.
he was in the other one.
Yeah.
From me or from us.
Absolutely, man.
And that's it's so cool to just be so close and
yeah. And
find out that we were so close to him.
and where we are, we didn't mention it. We're in Frank Marchand's new studio.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
And Frank has always been very accommodating for us. And
This the new Obsessed might be the first release out of the new studio.
this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
And we got to record it here, so that's nice.
We did. It's
Yeah.
awesome, man. It's awesome. And
Yeah.
hats off to Frank Marchand, man. What a good friend. What a
Yes,
good bud.
Absolutely. I mean, just to get a hold of us. He got a hold of you, right?
Yeah,
To say,
yeah,
hey,
he
I
did.
got this guy. You want to interview him?
And you got to come see the new studio. So,
Yeah.
Hey, man. We're
All
down.
right. So we're going to look at that.
Yep.
So until next time, my friend.
That's right, because next time we won't be here.
That's right. I'm Mick Marcelino.
That's right.
And
I'm-
you are.
I'm Jeff Bober still.
And we're always saying.
Onward.
Be sure and follow the show on Twitter @AmpsandAxis. Also, make sure you like the show on Facebook. For news, comments, and everything else, visit the webpage ampsandaxiscast.com. Thanks for listening.